Hey guys, as you can see from the title, I'm reviewing this little beauty here. This is by Huda Beauty and this is her brand new eyeshadow palette for the holiday season, and this is her Desert Dusk palette. I think holiday season, fall, winter, for everything, this is her palette. And this is an 18 pan eyeshadow palette, so you get 18 shades in the palette, and this retails for $65. Now right off the bat, I'm going to say it's extremely overpriced. $65 is quite expensive for 18 shades, guys. 18 shades, yeah. Now, the net weight of the palette is 25.2 grams. That's 0.89 ounce. So if you break it down to 18 shades, each pan carries 0.05 ounce of product. That honestly is a good amount. I think to be exact 0.049, but let's round it to 0.05, because just for reference, MAC's eyeshadows, it carries 0.05 ounce as well. Urban Decay's full size eyeshadows also carries the same amount, 0.05 ounce. So it's like you're getting 18 full size eyeshadows. So definitely it's a good amount of product for each pan. And the palette is made in Italy, and I don't think this Huda Beauty itself is cruelty free. It doesn't say anything about that in the box. And then it says now out of the 18 you have 8 buttery mattes. That's what it says, buttery mattes. And then you have 6 pressed pearls, which are like, actually the quality of those eyeshadows are nice. They are like not pearlized finish, they are almost like foiled eyeshadows. They are really nice. So, and then you have 3 duochrome toppers, another word for sheer duochrome eyeshadow. And then you have 1 daring glitter, which is just a glitter. It's not an eyeshadow, it's just glitter, just pressed glitter. And so altogether you get 18 shades. So let's look at the box, the actual product. This is her palette. She has this stunning Nefertiti. If you didn't know what it's called, at least in Tamil it's called Nefertiti. The jewelry is called chutti, but Neti means forehead in Tamil, so it's called, it's a jewelry that's meant to like make your hair and like forehead look very sexy and like beautiful. So it's called Nefertiti, and this is so beautiful, guys. I've never seen something so chunky and so grand. There are beautiful Nefertitis, but I tried wearing a chunky, bulky Nefertiti on my wedding day. And do you see this narrow forehead? And also this way, width and length, it's not very big. So it was, that chunky Nefertiti looked so oversized. It looked so funny and stupid. So I had to settle for a very slender looking Nefertiti for my wedding. But this looks beautiful on her. But enough with the trivial details. So this is her with her eyeshadow look, and then there's like a dupatta flying. I think it's a dupatta. Dupatta, if you didn't know, is like Indian scarf. So it's just something that's flying around. And yeah, it does come with a mirror, and those are the eyeshadows that you get. So yeah, you have a lot of dark here, and then very light, pale, not, I wouldn't call pale when you swatch it, they are not very pale, but the lighter shades on this side and then darker shades. And you do get most of the shades are darker, and you see they are all very reddish tone. Now I just, to be a little different and to also make a point, I thought I'd swatch the mattes together, and then I am going to swatch all of the shades, don't get me wrong, but I want to swatch the mattes together, and then the pearls, the pressed pearls, her terminology, together, and then the duochromes together, just to give you an idea and as to how, I mean, the similarity in shades. That's why the names are already here written just in the palette itself, which is very useful. So yeah, let's get into swatches, guys. The first, I think the top row, all of these are mattes with the exception of this shade. This is a pressed pearl. So let me first swatch. And this is the only cool tone matte, I think, in the palette. This is called Desert Sand, which is like a very cream yellow, like a warm cream color. And then you have Musk, which is this cool tone shade. And then you have Eden, which is this peachy shade. And then you have Amber, which is like rust shade, to be honest. And then you have Oud, which is like a brown, reddish brown, to be honest. So those are the top, the mattes in the first row. And then second row, you do not have, you have only one matte, to be honest, which is like, which is definitely like a purple shade. And that is called Amethyst. And then finally, you have two more shades. So those are the, again, you get a rust shade, which is so similar to this shade. Blended and everything, they look so just exactly the same. And then you have this bright, I wouldn't call this like a true orange, more like a reddish orange, definitely. So this is Saffron. To be honest, it's the exact shade of color of saffron, the spice, and then you have Blazing. So these are the mattes, and as you can see, the darker shades in the mattes, which is this, the 1, 2, 3, 4, have this strong reddish brown undertone to it. So they all look so similar, guys, to be honest. So then let's talk about the pressed pearls. I think this is Blood Moon, which is rose, very deep rose gold shade, to be honest. Then you have a beautiful purple shade, the pressed pearl version, which is so this is Blood Moon and this is Royal. It's a really beautiful purple shade. And then what else? You have Turkish Delight, which is more of a reddish shade. So this is more of a rosy rose gold, very dark rose gold, to be honest, very dark. Then you have this reddish Turkish Delight, and then you have this purple, which is Royal, I think. And Nefertiti is another pressed pearl, which is like just a gold shade, to be honest. These three are almost foiled, as you can see, but Nefertiti is not that foiled. It is definitely pigmented. It has chunky glitter in it. It's the only pressed pearl that has chunky glitter, but it's not as foiled as the other three. And then you have Cashmere and Angelic. Cashmere again is the only cool tone shade. I think there are this matte and this shade, this Cashmere shade, are the only cool tone. This Angelic is actually coral kind of gold shade, which actually doesn't really pop that much on my skin. As you can see, it looks so similar to this Nefertiti, which is gold shade. So yeah, and then let's swatch the three duochromes. So this is the Twilight, and then this is Celestial, and then finally you have Retrograde. I have to say the star of the show are these three shades. These are just so reflective, guys. These three shades are very reflective, and they truly pop on dark skin. Very good. And then finally, I think you have the pressed glitter, which is just, let me swatch it down here. It's just glitter. It's not just red glitter. It has like gold and like purple added to it. So yeah, those are the shades. As you can see, oh wait, let me talk about the formula, and then I'll tell you guys about my preferences and the way it looked on my skin and everything. Now I have to say the quality is really good. I just can't find fault with anything, to be honest, with respect to quality. All of them blended so beautifully with or without a primer. They really are quite pigmented, and they just go on well. There are no like ifs or buts or do's and don'ts, to be honest, with these eyeshadows. They all go just really well. Now these three are called toppers, duochrome toppers. Now with your finger, they go on beautifully. They are quite pigmented. As you can see, they are not sheer at all. But oh wait, I didn't describe these three shades. This is like a pink to purple shift, and then this is a beautiful color, to be honest. This like a gold to pink kind of shift, and then this is that red to almost teal green kind of a shift. So these three with a brush, you have to layer it. If you layer it, they go on beautifully. Definitely three layers for me, at least for my skin tone. It takes three layers, but I think if you have pale skin, maybe it would just take even like one layer or two layers with a brush, that is. With your finger, they just go on beautifully. Now, these three shades, the pressed pearls, the one that are so pigmented, with a brush, when you apply it, it's not as foiled looking as it is with the finger. I feel with the finger it's more foiled, but still it does look metallic, but not so foil and so, you know, so reflective. And these three shades are just normal looking shades, and as you can see, there is not much difference. Nefertiti, and this is Cashmere, that's cool tone, and then this is that angelic shade. So these three are just look very ordinary on my skin tone. So the mattes apply beautifully. Honestly, all of them apply well. I'm just talking about my preference and the way these three look on my skin tone. So let's talk about the performance, guys. And this, oh, I forgot to talk about the glitter. It really works well, but I think you definitely need a glitter primer. I think Huda says that you can just apply it on top of an eyeshadow primer or just by itself. I'm not sure, but I highly recommend using a glitter primer, just because, you know, these are loose glitter. This is not like a very you know, chunky glitter eyeshadow. It's not that. So be very careful, because if you don't use the proper base, it might just move, and it can also get into your eyes. So just for the safety reasons, at least just apply a glitter primer. That way the glitter would just adhere well to your eyelids and not move around and not get into your eyes. So just for the safety reasons, at least, I highly recommend it. But when you use a glitter primer, the glitter eyeshadow, not eyeshadow, the pressed glitter, it is so easy to use. Just press once and just pat it, and it just gives a completely dramatic, full-blown, beautiful look. It's really beautiful. Just try once and you'll see the effect and the result that it gives. I think this is my favorite thing in the palette, to be honest, because it gives it such a beautiful, dramatic look in seconds, guys. I know these three look like they are so beautiful, but then this definitely gives that multi-dimensional look. It's really beautiful. So my favorite glitter primer is from NYX. I think that's only $5. So please don't think that, oh, it might be a waste, why should I spend that extra money? But really, just at least for safety reasons, use a glitter primer. Now, as I said, quality wise, all the mattes blend beautifully, they apply well, and pressed pearls, all of the shades apply really well with a brush or finger. And then these with a brush, you definitely need to layer them. With a finger, you can just apply it one swipe and it's fully pigmented. And as for this, I love this, but you need a glitter primer. Now, I have a small complaint about the mattes. Now this before that, let me show you the eyeshadow look I have. In the crease, I have actually I think I have Eden, and then I also have this orangey shade, and then in the outer corner I have Oud, this reddish brown, and then just have it all in the crease. And in the eyelids, in the inner corner and the outer corner of the eyelids, believe it or not, I have this purple shade, and you just can't tell that I'm wearing purple on my eyelids. It's actually looks very muted. I know the swatch, it pops kind of, but it does not look that vibrant on dark skin. I can just talk for my skin tone. At least on my skin tone, it doesn't pop. You just can't tell that I'm actually wearing the purple eyeshadow. But it's pigmented, don't get me wrong. It's pigmented, it applies well, it blends well and everything, but it doesn't really, you just can't tell. And in the center of the eyelids, I have this So this is the eyeshadow look I have. I honestly feel with this palette, your crease work and your outer corner, no matter how much you mix and match, it's going to look exactly the same. At least on my skin tone, it looks exactly the same. That's one thing that kind of slightly bothered me. Of course, all of the eyeshadows worked well, so I think this might be something that that might concern you if you have a skin tone like mine, or if you have my preferences. If you think like the way I think, you might also think that all of the eyeshadow looks, especially the crease work, it's going to look very, in fact they're all going to look just the same, because all of them have this brownish reddish undertone, and since I have brown skin, it kind of merges and blends, and they all look kind of like a reddish brown on my skin, to be honest. That's a big not a big concern, to be honest, but they're all going to look very same with just a different look on the eyelid. Now there is something which stands out, which is the purple matte eyeshadow, which, as I said, blends well and everything, but that, I don't know, for some reason it just doesn't pop at all. Even once now I have it on the eyelids, once I actually incorporated it in the crease as well and in the outer corner, but it just looked like I have like a reddish brownish kind of eyeshadow going on. I just feel this purple is not really complementing my skin tone for some reason. It just doesn't add anything to my eye look. That's something I actually kind of was concerned, because this is a beautiful shade, it's so beautiful, but when I incorporate it in my eye look, any kind of eye look, now I have it on the eyelids, and then when I tried to incorporate it in the outer corner and then used it in the crease, it just did not look like I had like purple, this beautiful purple eyeshadows. It kind of turned it into like more of a reddish kind of a look, you know, because I always have to incorporate either this as a transition shade, or this as a transition shade, or this as a transition shade. So whenever any of the other reddish brown shades mixes with the other matte shades, it just eventually I get like a reddish brown crease. So that's something that kind of concerned me. And then another thing, there is not a deeper shade enough to create a dimension. Now as you can see, I just packed on this shade Oud, which is like a brownish red. As you can see, it's not very dark at all. I just packed it so that to give a slight dimension here, but again, it's not that deep enough. So those are the two things that concern me. Now I have to say the red shades as well, this shade and this shade, again, it doesn't like truly pop on my skin tone. Again, it just looks like a brown, reddish brown eyeshadow. Now you can say that probably a lot of reddish eyeshadows look like that, but no, I have used reddish and purple eyeshadows. Let me show you Poison Purple. It's so similar to this shade Amethyst. When I wear this shade, guys, it truly looks like I'm wearing a deep purple. Let me show you how pigmented that is, and it just remains like a true purple on my skin tone. So I have used purples and reds that pop, and this is Love Plus by Sugar Pill as well. And let me just swatch this eyeshadow. This just, I think this might be similar to this shade. Do you see how it beautifully pops? And so yeah, so it's just after using such pigmented and such true colors, these just they don't look reddish looking on my skin tone. That's all I'm saying. At least with my undertone, it just mixes with the brown in my skin tone and just looks like a reddish brown, very muted reddish brown. It doesn't like pop, it doesn't give that true sunset look, if you ask me. This looks like a reddish brown look, but it's just, I think it's something that if you have my undertone and my preferences, you might also think the same way. Otherwise you'd probably disagree with me. So yeah, that's all, you guys. That's all I had to say about the palette. Performance wise, all of them did really well, but just the color selection and the way it like worked on my skin tone is what I had a slight problem. And also in the lower lash line, I have this brown, and it doesn't, only if I like come really close and just look down you can see it, but otherwise it just doesn't like add like a dimension to my skin tone. You know, it doesn't add that look, that different dimensional look on my skin tone. So yeah, that's the only problem I had with the eyeshadow palette, but otherwise it looks good. If you have similar concern, I highly recommend you buy the palette and use it on your skin tone, because I think it's something got to do with the skin tone and undertones of your skin as well. So yeah. Thank you so much guys for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked watching it, and please subscribe. Bye.